One of the main functions of the respiratory system during exercise is to exchange gases in order to ensure that the metabolic demand of the exercising skeletal muscle is met. And also, the work of breathing has to be minimized. However, during super intense exercise, the work of breathing is substantial, and this might actually redirect blood flow from the skeletal muscle to the fatiguing respiratory muscles. This phenomenon is called the respiratory-induced metabolic reflex, and this might actually be one of the multiple factors that can cause an individual to stop exercising. So my question for you is, what if you can reduce the work of breathing during exercise? How will that affect performance? Well, previous research has actually shown that when you reduce the work of breathing during heavy exercise by putting somebody on a mechanical ventilator, it actually improves time to exhaustion. Similarly, if you pre-fatigue the respiratory muscles prior to heavy exercise, this actually causes performance to decrease. Obviously, putting somebody on a ventilator during exercise isn't very practical, and this suggests that the respiratory system plays an extremely critical role in exercise limitation. So what if you can reduce the work of breathing then by training your respiratory muscles? Because obviously this is way more practical than putting somebody on a ventilator. And more specifically, is this type of training applicable to elite athletes who are often at or near their performance plateaus, yet they're still subject to diaphragm fatigue? And indeed, previous research has demonstrated that when you train your inspiratory muscle specifically, or IMT, this actually improves exercise performance in time trial and time to exhaustion tests in cyclists, swimmers, and rowers. However, research on the ergogenic effects of expiratory muscle training, or EMT, in similar athletic populations is lacking, and the results are very contradicting. Therefore, there currently lacks research on whether the performance benefits of respiratory muscle training are transferable to intermittent sport athletes like hockey players and soccer players, for example. And also, the question has been raised whether or not combined inspiratory and expiratory muscle training is superior to either training modality on its own due to the increased reliance of the expiratory muscles during super high intense exercise. Thus, the Human Performance and Health Research Lab's current goals are to investigate if combined inspiratory and expiratory muscle training improves aerobic and intermittent sport performance in competitive athletes.
Hi, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Nicole.
Welcome to the Human Performance and Health Research Lab.
We're now going to take you behind the scenes to show you some real-life in-action footage of our baseline testing in the IMT EMT study. At the introductory visit, we first assess pulmonary function by having participants complete spirometry. They do 2 breathing maneuvers, a forced vital capacity breathing maneuver, as well as maximum voluntary ventilation. We then assess participants' respiratory muscle strength, both inspiratory and expiratory, using a respiratory mouth pressure meter. Also at the introductory visit, participants complete a VO2 max test so we can assess their aerobic fitness level.
That's it, Sarah. Keep your legs going. Keep the RPM up.
Over 5 minutes. Okay, couple more minutes. Get those legs moving. You got it.
Keep them going, Sarah. That's it. Keep it up. Keep it up.
All participants then complete 2 5-kilometer time trial races on the bike. These tests are again maximal effort tests, however no verbal encouragement is given to the participants throughout the test. While the participants are cycling, we're collecting all of their metabolic data, as well as we obtain all of their cycling performance data at the end of the test. At baseline, participants also complete 2 repetitive sprint tests consisting of 15 20-meter sprints. While they're sprinting, they're wearing a portable metabolic cart called the K5, so we're able to collect metabolic data, and they're tethered to the 1080 sprint, wearing a belt, so we're able to record stride by stride velocity, acceleration, power, and force.
Go.
Although we are currently just wrapping up baseline testing now, after the respiratory muscle training intervention, it's expected that peak inspiratory and expiratory flow will increase, as well as maximum inspiratory and expiratory muscle strength only in the experimental IMT-EMT group. Also, it's expected that in both the experimental and control groups, their VO2 max or aerobic fitness level shouldn't change, as participants are expected to maintain their normal training and therefore they shouldn't get more fit over the course of the study. In the experimental IMT-EMT group, it's also expected that we will see improvements in performance during the 5K cycling test as well as the repeated sprint exercise tests. With regards to the 5K cycling test, we should see improved time to completion, and during the sprints, it's expected that the IMT-EMT group will have reduced sprint fatigability by improved breathing efficiency during the active recovery periods. Attenuated ratings of perceived respiratory effort and improved breathing efficiency are some of the underlying mechanisms that may contribute to these expected performance enhancements following combined inspiratory and expiratory muscle training.
Stay tuned for the final results of this study.